Hi everybody. Today I'll be talking about something kind of, I would say it's not going to be a downer, but I'm going to be highlighting a virus that could possibly take your legs away, basically overnight. This kind of hit home to me because a close friend of mine, at the age of 10, he was diagnosed with this virus and was put in the hospital for 2 weeks. And at age 10, the hospital is more of a daunting thing to you because you think of needles and you think of just bad. When he went in the hospital, he went in at 132 pounds and came out 108 pounds. He lost that much weight due to this virus. The virus, basically what it did was it pit his body against himself, and he lost all feeling in his right leg, all the way up to here. So this, from the tip of his toe all the way up to here, was not able to move. Just like the feeling of when you sleep on your arm and it goes numb. But that's what it felt like the entire time. You're probably asking me why, probably wondering why should I listen? Why is Chance credible with this? And when I said that I knew this person, the person was me, I was diagnosed with a virus called Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's a viral infection, which is ironic because you can't spread it to anybody else. What it does is it pits your body against itself, and antibodies, what's supposed to protect your body, actually attacks your body, and it eats at your nerve endings. And what happens is you lose the tingling, you feel the tingling sensation, and basically you lose all functioning in wherever it attacks. Usually it's your legs, sometimes it happens in your arms. But I have some main points for you. I'm going to talk about who it affects, its time span, and why scientists still can't find out why some people don't get it and some people do. The virus has no specifics on who it affects. It affects both genders, and it can strike at any age. There's no correlation to anything. It's very rare. It only affects every 1 out of 100,000 people. Scientists believe that it's thought to be gone after you get a respiratory or gastrointestinal viral infection. Yet this still is unclear to them and is continued to be researched. After you get this shot, I know most people get flu shots. After this, you are basically unable to get a flu shot. If you receive a flu shot, you will actually fall into sickness. You will get sick, and whatever the flu shot that is will make you sick and possibly put you back in the hospital. On another note, going on to the time frame of it. The time frame is usually unpredictable. There's no correlation at all. It can start affecting you actually within hours of contracting it. Within hours, you can start feeling the tingling sensation, whether it is in your toes, your arms, even your head. It can stop your heart as well. And the worst part about it is if it hits you in days, which is actually longer, days or weeks, it comes back stronger. So as long as it's dormant, it continues to build. If it takes weeks, it will be as soon as you get it, it will hit you at the strongest. So one day you'll wake up and your entire leg will be gone. It will be tingling and you can't feel it or can't move. For me, I personally dealt with the worst one. It usually affects you within 2 weeks, but mine came at 3 weeks. I had already played many football. That was the same year that I went in, was the same year I started football. 3 weeks, it hit me within 3 weeks, and within that, when I woke up, I could not feel my entire right leg and actually was unable to walk. Transitioning to the to why the virus is. According to the National Institute of Neurological Disorders, the virus actually has been in existence for many years. Still, scientists have not found out why people contract it or they don't contract it. The only thing they've really found out is it's non-contagious, it's not a viral infection, you can't spread it to anyone else. Some more information about it. Your body's turned against itself, which I've already told you about. When you see nerve endings, there's two. They basically attack the nerve ending and they eat around it. So that's what the tingling sensation comes from, because you can't feel it. Your brain will tell you to move your legs or move your arm, but it won't physically do it. You can, all bodily commands are ignored due to the nerve endings being attacked. And the worst part about this is that antibodies, the ones that are attacking you, actually become less discriminate of outside infections, and you're actually prone to other viruses infections at a greater risk. In conclusion, it can happen to anybody, and I was one of those 100,000. The worst part about it is it doesn't attack you. It doesn't attack you because you're a male or you're 20. It doesn't discriminate. It does not come out anyway. Research has continued on this, and they're starting to make perfect breakthroughs on it, or good breakthroughs on it. Yeah, this thing is still out there, and it should be cured by now. But they are striving for it, and I'll leave you with make sure if you wake up. I don't want you to be paranoid, but a tingling sensation could be something else, because it does not. It comes in all forms, and at the age of 10, that's what I thought it was. I thought my right leg was numb because I fell asleep on it. And then when you're 10 years old and the doctor tells you you can't play football anymore, it's actually something that hit you really hard. So I thought I should share this with you guys. Thank you.
So Alexander, what did you think?
I'm gonna start off with the negatives first. I only had two. One of them would be that he didn't have any visuals, so it was kind of just like him talking all the time, and it would have been better if we would be able to see some statistics like on the projector or something like that. And also there was a couple pauses like here and there, but overall for the goods, I like the intro. I like the attention grabber. It was more like of an emotional connection with him regarding that it has to do involving him. And he maintained good eye contact. I didn't really feel like that you were reading from your note cards that much, because it was more like stuff that you experienced, and it was more pertaining all to you, so it's kind of like you knew everything that you were talking about. Again, you had a lot of good info, and yeah, it just felt like more like personal info rather than like facts stated by like doctors. Even though I know that there were facts, it was kind of more just like you really kind of knew all this stuff, and he had good sided material from different organizations, so I thought that was a good plus.
Okay. Gesundheit. Yeah, I like the attention device also. I don't know that you want to make it sound like you're talking about a friend and then reveal that the friend is yourself. I do like the surprise element of that. I think maybe what you do is you just talk about a 10-year-old instead of making it sound like you're pulling a switcheroo on us. Then it's just to reveal that the 10-year-old is you, as opposed to it's really me, that kind of thing. But that's not a big deal. I thought it worked pretty well, and I think it pulls us into the speech a little bit more, that it's a first-hand experience that you're talking about, and so that makes it more interesting. You've got some statistical information that you use to create a justification. The supporting points are laid out at the beginning of the speech. I think that's pretty good. It's primarily topical in the way you're going to talk about it, and so organizationally you set it up pretty well. In the body of the speech, I think your transitions are not working very well. You have one place where there's just an obvious place where you even say, to transition to something else, Okay, so we know that you're moving to the topic, but other than that, I didn't think it was very clear that you had moved from one point to another, and so you want to be a little bit smoother about those kinds of things. I'll mirror exactly what Alexander was saying about your presentation. I think that you do a good job for the most part talking to the audience. You're not overly dependent on the notes, since a lot of it is experience that you're referring to, especially when you're talking about the descriptive part, you know, what it feels like and how it affects somebody. I think that's, you know, that comes across pretty effectively because you're talking to us. So that really does benefit the presentation quite a bit. I think you needed a little bit more supporting material in the speech. I heard a source citation finally in the third part. I didn't hear anything in the earlier parts of the speech, and you need to be more consistent about that. I know that you know a lot of this from firsthand experience, but and there's nothing wrong with using your firsthand experience also. But for example, the statistics that you had at the beginning, I know those came from someplace, and you want to make sure that you're telling us where that information comes from, and then you kind of define what it is. I know that's coming from someplace also, so you want to give us that information. And of course, the elephant in the room is the visual materials. Since there aren't any visual materials, there's not any supplemental material, that's going to create a ding in the evaluation. I know in a subject like this, sometimes people say, well, you can't really show a picture of a virus and have people. No, it's not necessary to do that, but for example, you could have a table of the symptoms. You mentioned a timeline, for example. Is this typically, typically something that causes a fatality, or is it something that is a short-term issue? What's the period of time that people suffer from this? How is it treated? There's a whole bunch of things that could potentially be put into a table for us or a chart, and that would give you a little bit something more, and something more for the audience to hang on to as well. You mentioned, of course, that it affected your leg. I assume that it could affect all kinds of parts of the body, that sort of thing. And again, there may not be information on this, but if there was statistical information about what the most typical parts of the body people were affected by it, that, you could have an outline of the body and have sections highlighted by colors, and instead of a pie chart, it's a body chart indicating, the frequency with which people experience this problem with their legs or their arms or their fingers or their neck or wherever it is that it comes up. Again, I don't know that there's that information. I'm just trying to brainstorm about what kinds of things could have been used as visuals, because there's a blank spot in the presentation because of that. And if you need help on those kinds of things, maybe you should just put something together. I'm almost tempted to say, since you went early, if you want to put something together, we'll give you a second bite of the apple on this, because I feel bad, because you've got a good presentation for the most part, but it's like saying I'm going to leave 25% of my grade at my desk when I stand up to give the speech. Okay. And so if you want to try something else next week.
I had a visual aid, but
you just forgot it?
No, it was on my Google Drive.
Okay.
And when I clicked on Google Drive, it wasn't there this morning.
It wasn't opening. Okay, well, like I said, I'm not going to require you to do it again. I'm perfectly happy to give you the grade here, but if you want to try again and have something else, if we've got time, I'm happy to plug you in again next week, since you went early.
Yeah, this one's longer.
Okay. All right, thank you.